I'm Zarina Dimitrova, a strategic partner and mentor to businesses in the process of transformation. Join me on Grow and Learn as we explore a range of topics from personal development and career advancement to relationship building and financial management. Join us as we share insights and strategies that can help you achieve your personal and professional growth objectives. Welcome to Grow and Learn, everyone. Today we're speaking about winning hearts, winning minds, and winning market share. My guest today is entrepreneur, best-selling author, marketing agency owner, Barry LaBov. Welcome, Barry.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be on with you today. I'm a big fan, and I'm very excited about this. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm hoping, I'm expecting. I always like it when my talks are fun and not simply providing value, which they always do, because my guests are awesome and just like yourself. But you know, it always helps when they provide fun as well.
That's right.
Right. Barry, you mentioned that you have a lot of stories to share, and this is what we're going to be, or you're going to be sharing these stories in our conversation. But tell us a bit more about you. Who are you? Tell us a bit of your story first.
My story is I grew up in the United States. I have a Ukrainian heritage, but we grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And as a young boy, I got very involved with mathematics and was learning and being taught algebra when I was 3 years old and 4 years old, got kicked out of second grade for algebra discussions with the teacher, and really fell in love with the idea of, trying to understand the value of being a little different. I was a little different in that way. As I grew up, I also became very involved with music. I started many rock bands. I had songs on the Billboard charts,
Cool.
on MTV Video. I had hair.
Really?
I had it
Seriously?
all going
Wow.
for me.
Amazing.
But what happened was I then made a decision to focus my career on marketing and really focusing it on one word: differentiation, finding that distinctiveness or uniqueness in a brand or a product, which I find fascinating. So what's happened since then?
What triggered you to make this decision? What was the trigger for you to move away from music and into marketing?
Well, it was a personal thing. What happened was my father became very ill, and I had been very involved with music and my company both. So I was kind of splitting my time between the two. He was critically ill, passed away at a relatively young age. And it occurred to me that, hey, I don't have all this time in the world. I don't know if I have another minute or another decade or 50 more years. I don't know. So I ought to focus on what's most inspiring for me. And it turns out that let's focus on a company. Let's grow a business. Let's work with people. Let's help companies. And I thought it'd be fun. So that's what I did. Now, over the years, we've been able to work with hundreds of companies, and some of them are very, very well-known worldwide. So they would include Harley-Davidson, Stoli Vodka, Macallan Scotch, Carrier Heating and Air Conditioning, Mercedes, Audi, companies like that, wonderful companies, as well as many smaller companies. And it's been my opportunity to help them identify what makes them unique and then celebrate it with the most important people in the world first, their employees. That's what I do.
Wow, fantastic. You were also awarded twice Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst Young. Which of these companies helped you get this award or these awards?
Well, that's a great question. The company who helped me was a moving company, a moving van company, which is called North American Van Lines. And I was not a great entrepreneur when I was starting out. So they called me up and they said, hey, you're doing some work for us. We want to sell you our marketing department, let you own it, and then we will hire your services for 3 years or 4 years. I was not a really good entrepreneur at the time, so I said, no, I don't think so. I don't think it fits me. And I gave them the names of many other companies in my area that could do it. Well, they persisted and persisted until one day they said, look, we want you to become our marketing department. We want to hire you and your company for the next 3 years. And I said, I've given you the names of all these other companies who could work with you. Why do you keep coming back to me? And they said, because we trust you. And I went, whoa, okay. So I said right then and there, I said, okay, it's a deal. I'll do it. I did not know what I was in for, because one of the issues I found very quickly was that made me an advertising and marketing agency. And most of my customers at the time, because I was doing music, jingles, those irritating little ditties that you hear on the radio, most of my clients were agencies. So all of a sudden I became a competitor of them, and they all dropped me. So I lost all my clients.
Oh, wow.
But it allowed me to embark on a brand new world of marketing and training, which I've never looked back on. It's been phenomenal.
Wow, fascinating story. And back to the awards of Ernst Young, this came right after
Yes.
this first. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, that's what triggered it, because that was part of the story for Ernst Young, seeing that I took that over. Now, what was interesting right after that, I was invited to the Ernst Young celebration, and I met with Volkswagen there, and they have become a 25-year partner of my company. So
Wow.
it really was a great opportunity for me. And I did not expect to win the award. I did not have that good of a self-image about what I was doing, but they chose me, and it was a great experience, and I shared it with my employees.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, so how do you go about differentiation? What are the first things that you ask your clients to do to figure out?
That's a great question. What we have to realize, whether we have a one-person company or whether we have 40,000 employees, is that there's something we're doing, whether it's a service or a product, something we're providing or creating that has uniqueness to it. Now, I don't mean it's going to be perfect, because nothing's perfect. And I also don't mean it's going to be superior to every other product in its category, but it must have a personality or a distinctiveness. There's a reason you're doing it and creating it the way you're doing it. So my company comes in, and we help these really good companies understand what that is. We literally, if it's a manufacturing company, we go into their manufacturing plants. We tour their facility. We look at the processes and the people and the products and the manufacturing approach that they have, the technology, and we find what's unique. What we then do is we say, okay, here are a list of what we call unique differentiators. This is a list. Let's look at them, and let's choose maybe 3 or 4 of them. Let's name them. Let's get ready to promote them, because they should be a point of pride. But as I mentioned earlier, the very first step before we launch it to the world is celebrating it with the employees, because today people need significance. And we must let our employees know that, you know what, nobody does this or that like we do. And here's why. And the role you play is very, very important in it. And without you, we couldn't do this. So let's celebrate this. And after our celebration, we're going to launch this to the rest of the world. And you can help be ambassadors of our brand. That's what we do.
You get them on board. This is fascinating. Oh, have you found any strong correlation between those differentiating aspects of a company, let's say the top 3 that the management helps you choose, and the culture or the leading figure or the founder of the company?
They're very, very related. The leading figure or founder of the company, as an example, might be an engineer. Many of our clients were founded by engineers. Well, guess what? Their unique differentiation is in their engineering. I'll share a story. I was working with a wonderful company that is a family business. They are phenomenal engineers. And I was talking to their vice president of engineering, who is a family member. And I said, what is the most exciting new product you've developed? And he said, well, I've developed this man lid. It's called a man lid or a manhole cover, which is that round cover that's on the top of a tanker trailer. So you go up, you see these beautiful aluminum tanker trailers going down our highways. Inside them are sometimes very flammable materials or liquids.
Mhm.
If you open up that man lid incorrectly and there's too much pressure inside, it could explode and you could get injured, you could die. So they created, and this gentleman was the person behind it. He created a latch, a special latch that would activate if the pressure was too high, basically saving lives. So he told me all about it. And I said, well, that's great. Do you promote this? And he said, no, I'm an engineer. We feel that people ought to understand this. It's our job to do this work. I said, okay, so you don't promote it. I said, do you charge more for it? He goes, no, we don't charge more for it. I said, okay, do your customers have a product like this that they can buy from somebody else? And he said, no. He said, our competitors have no products like it. This is the only one our customers can choose. I said, okay, what did you name this product, this brilliant, innovative technology? And he said, well, we just call it latch. And I said, what's interesting is we don't name our children child 1, child 2, and child 3, right? I mean, we give them a name. They have a personality, right? So, I mean, a lot of people name their cars. They don't just say, I'm going to go drive my whatever. I'm going to go drive Lucy or whatever, right? So here's a person who did something brilliant. And he's a brilliant engineer. And he was not making sure that, number one, he discovered his uniqueness and named it. And he was not celebrating it with his people. Imagine how excited his people were then when he got together with them and said, okay, we're going to stop and we're going to talk about this amazing product we've created that saves lives. And we created it here. And all of you played a role, whether it was engineering or whether it was our customer service group, you all played a role. Let's celebrate this. Mm-hmm. To me, that's really big. So you ask a great question. Are those differentiators related to the founders? Absolutely, because those founders created a business that's in their image, many cases.
Right. Yeah, fascinating story. What about the larger companies? You mentioned you've worked with Mercedes, with Harley Davidson. Let's talk about Harley Davidson. It's kind of more up your alley of a musician.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, one thing with Harley Davidson is they have a beautiful product. And one thing we helped them with was they said, you know, what's happened is they have a certain type of customer that has over the years been their number one customer, which would be male, you know, men, generally older men with beards that look like Santa Claus. You know, that's what some of them said. And they said, you know,
ride the Route 66.
Exactly. And we said, you're correct. That is what the image is. And they said, but we want to attract women. We want to attract young people. We want to attract people of all backgrounds and diversity. And we said, well, what you want to do then is to realize that your dealers, where people walk in, need to start to embrace and discover that many types of people will love that motorcycle and they need to embrace them. So we created a training program for their dealers. And part of the training program was saying, look, you're very comfortable with a certain kind of customer that comes in, which is great. It's great. But many other people are fascinated with this beautiful brand. And when they walk into your store, you need to embrace them. You need to understand them. You need to allow them to experience the product instead of letting them walk around on their own because you're uncomfortable with them, because they're probably uncomfortable too. So let's embrace them into our family. So that was part of what we tried to do with Harley, which was fascinating because they have a great product and many people all over the world are fascinated by it. But if their dealership experience did not reflect an open approach, then think of all the people like yourself that would say, hey, I'd love to ride a motorcycle. And they go, well, sorry, you know, we're waiting for our normal customer to come in. Mm-hmm. So they did that. So they were fantastic. The dealers received it very well. And it helped them with their sales and their new product development as well.
Wow. Interesting. There was a Harley Davidson store at the place where I am, close to Vienna, but they closed it down during COVID. But I was actually going there to look at the motorbikes. They're really fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's happened with Harley Davidson that's so great is if you think about what a wonderful brand they are, they make a lot of money, not just selling those great motorcycles, but they make a lot of money selling leather jackets
Right.
and hats and t-shirts because people love the brand. They have created this iconic image over 124 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Really interesting. What about smaller peeps that are just starting out, entrepreneurs? What should they be looking for their differentiating factors?
I think it's very important to look at them, especially if you're a small company or even a solopreneur, because there's a lot of pressure today to become commoditized, whether you're a tiny company or large, but there's pressure. There's pressure to lower your price. And to lower your price, what do? Well, you take away some of those things that cost more time or more money. Well, all of a sudden, when what you're creating now is no longer unique or special, there's only one choice. You have to lower your price. Well, now you lower your price, and what happens is not only do you lose profit, you lose market share, but you lose the hearts of your employees because now they don't care what they're making. So what I recommend with small entrepreneurs is, even though you might say, hey, I'm just doing what I do and I do it my way because I'm me, dig deeper. Talk to your customers. Ask, okay, why do you work with me? What am I doing? You could work with other people. You could work with other small businesses, and yet you work with me. Is it just my personality, or is there something I bring to you? And what's really important is, here's my other challenge for the small business person. Don't just identify and go, okay, well, that's me. Name it. So for instance, if you have a client that says, I love the way you consult because you always ask questions and then you provide certain recommendations and then you give me the flexibility to choose what I want, name your process. It's a 3-step process. It's the such and such process. And that's what I do. So I think it's very important that no matter the size of the company, we have to realize we're in business. Some of us have been in business for 10, 20, 40 years. Some companies that I work with have been in business for 212 years. They're doing something right. Let's identify it. Let's try to name it. Let's codify it. Let's say it's these 3 steps. It's these 4 things we do. Nobody does all 4. And let's celebrate it. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, of course, it makes sense. Everybody knows that cutting prices is not the solution, but what about the times we are in right now and with all the expectations and what is already obvious in terms of inflation and job loss in the US? There's going to be an increase in price war for sure. What is your advice for companies in this environment?
In this environment, it's tough to hold on to employees. It's tough to have employees believe in what you do. You're going to be pressured on price reductions. That's why it's important to identify what you do differently, because that's the only hope you have to charge a fair amount. And it's the only hope you have to retain your employees and give them significance in what they do. We have to realize that it's not a numbers game. It is not a numbers game because the numbers will keep going down and down and down. We have to be bold enough to say, look, this is what we do, why we do it. We're not for everybody. We're not perfect for everybody. But this is what we do, and our employees are part of our success because they believe in it and they represent us. So it's more important than ever in these times. If you realize during COVID, 50 million or more people just in the United States quit their jobs, just in COVID, okay? So you think about, my gosh, that's 50 million people. Well, if they left their jobs and went somewhere else, what's stopping them from leaving those jobs unless they believe they're doing something that has value to them? So again, we have to provide that as leaders. That's part of our job, small business or large.
Yeah. Let's talk about your book, The Power of Differentiation. Is it already out or are you about to release it?
It is set for release on June 25th. It will be released via Simon & Schuster worldwide. It's a book all about stories of really excellent companies and excellent individuals who found ways to discover the distinctiveness of their business and then rally their companies around it, including being very vulnerable at times to challenges, including if there was a pressure to lay off employees, being able to be honest with them and say, look, there is a pressure, there is a possibility, but I will fight as hard as I can to make sure you hold on to your jobs. It's that kind of book where you're learning about the people and how deeply they do care about their employees and how those employees rallied around them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And people can get your book at barrylabov.com or
Right.
apart from the physical locations.
Right. It's apart from Amazon or barrylabov.com. It's I think the book is very interesting for businesses of all sizes. And we cover a number of different areas that are very important with your brand and your differentiation, including your experience, your brand experience that you offer. So as an example, many of us do not distinguish between the experience we get when we go in to buy something versus the product. So if we go into a car dealership and we have a terrible experience trying to buy a car, we walk away not only never going back to that dealership, but we'll never buy that brand again.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is the brand doesn't even know this happened, but it was the experience at the dealership. Again, small and large companies fall into that category. So we cover that. We cover the power of words because words create worlds. You have to choose what words really fit your brand and what words don't. And you have to make sure you stay true to those and you honor the words that mean the most to your brand so that people hear them over and over. They go, okay, she really understands what her brand's about. I understand. She really cares about this or that. So we really cover a lot of interesting concepts that I think people from all different parts of the world would find very interesting.
Yeah. What is your differentiation in your company, LaBov.com, where you have a team of consultants?
We have our differentiation, which is called brand re-engineering. We have a process that nobody in the world has. And I described some of it to you, but we have a 5-step process. There are 2 steps of that process that nobody in the world does. So one of the 2 steps that's unique is what we call a technical immersion, where we go inside a facility. Could be a manufacturing plant. It could be a service organization. And we send a technical team in to learn what makes you unique so that we can consider a number of different potential candidates for your differentiation. We also then do, as I've shared with you, we then, as part of the launch, we help our clients launch internally first to rally their group. So our process is something that no other company does. Now, here's the thing for all of us in the audience. We have 5 steps. Many, many companies do 1, 2, or 3 of them. So I'm not saying nobody does any of the 5, but there are 2 that we do that belong to us.
And these 2 are the technical assessment and the launching with the
employees
first.
That's right. That is exactly right. And we do that. And part of doing the launch with the employees is we have another differentiator, which is called a jam session, like a music jam session, only we have a jam session with the employees. And we rally the employees around what the brand is about. We get their ideas of how we can make this brand even greater in the future. So it's very inspirational. I would understand if some in the audience think, well, it just sounds like a bunch of up with people thing. It's happy time stuff. It's not all happy stuff. It's meaningful. It's inspiring. And, a person who really feels they're being listened to and can help contribute to the future, I mean, they're going to do a better job. They're going to stay at that company. It's very exciting. It's very enriching and motivating for me and my company to provide this to others.
Yeah, I can imagine. It makes total sense to me. How long does this process take, the 5 steps?
5 steps take generally, and it depends on how fast our clients move, 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
About 6 weeks, because we talk with all of their top customers, their top employees, their suppliers, their community. We review what their competition does. We visit their facility with the technical immersion. We create a launch plan for them. We then look at what execution we need to create. It could be a new logo, it could be a new website, whatever is needed. And then, like I said, it's that internal celebration first. So it takes about 6 weeks. We have clients go, well, we want to go really quick. Well, we run an entrepreneurial company. We could do all of this in 3 weeks, but it's tough for our clients to move that quickly because they have a lot of different moving pieces going on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Barry, what have I missed asking you that is something curious or something that you would like to share that I haven't asked you, maybe?
Well, I think you've done a fantastic job. I think the real important thing, and you've alluded to this, is that today, as you said today, with all the pressures, it's more important than ever to simplify and discover what we do that's unique. And it doesn't have to be 100 things. It could be 1 or 2. And to really understand that we need to use the right language when we speak about what we do. We have to honor the uniqueness of what we do, just as we need to honor the people behind what we do, our employees and those who serve and service our products. That's what I think is the most important thing to remember.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This was a very insightful talk, and it lit up a few light bulbs. So thank you very much. I like your especially these 2 differentiation points that nobody else has. I can see that, and I can see how they work. So congratulations on coming up with this method.
I thank you. You do a great job. I love your show. And if anybody wants to reach out to me on my website to begin a conversation, please do that. If you want to learn a little bit about the book coming out, I'll let you know what's going on there. But I love to connect with people. If that's of interest, please, your audience is welcome to do that.
Once again, your websites are, can you please share them?
Sure. LaBov, LABOV.com. That's my company. And I'm Barry, BARRY, LaBov.com.
Fantastic. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Grow and Learn. We hope that you found our podcast informative, engaging, and inspiring. Our mission is to help you keep growing and learning, and we hope that our conversations and insights have provided you with practical advice and useful perspectives. If you're looking for personalized support and guidance to help you achieve your personal or professional growth objectives, I offer a range of services to help. As a trusted management partner and mentor, I work with businesses in the process of transformation, looking for new streams of business, as well as M&A. With an extensive professional network of experts and mentors, I can bring on board the right person or team based on the specific needs of the company I'm working with. To learn more about the services I offer and how I can help you achieve your goals, visit my website at grownlearn.org. You can also reach out to me via email or social media. I'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this episode of Grow and Learn, please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us, and it helps us to continue to create content that is relevant and valuable to our listeners. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights and perspectives with you in the future.